Welcome to All About Videography. My name is Dror Levi. In this episode, I will go over the FeiyuTech AK2000s Gimbal. I will cover every button and function it has, dig into the menu and app, pair the Sony A7iii to the gimbal, point out the bad and the good, share with you some tips that I have, and put this gimbal to the test. So if you are considering getting this gimbal, then definitely watch this video to the end. Currently, my daily driver is the Moza Air Cross. It serves me well, but it is a little bit outdated when you compare that to the new generation. And the AK2000s is the new generation of gimbals. Well, the AK2000s is a 45-degree slanted. It comes in a semi-hard case. It's not a hard case, but it's also not a soft case. It's made of EPP, which is a type of a hard foam. And I believe DJI using the same material for some of their drones cases as well. But it is still of plenty of protection. For me, it means nothing because the gimbal goes in the bag anyway. If anything, I wish they have included a big soft pouch to protect the gimbal from scratches when it is in the camera bag. In the case, you'll find the gimbal itself, a quick release plate, a quick release plate, which is probably the lightest setup. If you use a different mount, you can always convert it. Arm support, tripod stand, a bag with all sorts of cables to pair the camera to the gimbal, as well for the servo focus zoom, which is not included in this package, but you can always buy it separately if you want. In the bag you will find also a thumb screw to hold the lens holder in place. Now the finish and the details on this gimbal is a beauty. I mean, I love the position locks on each of the axes. Great for storage. Also, the clearance between the arms is well designed. It does not matter if you push the arms all the way in or out to the max, the arms will not touch each other. And this is a problem I had with the Moza Air Cross, especially when it was in my camera bag. Now, when I opened the case for the first time, I was convinced that some of the components are made of plastic. It felt very light and the finish felt like it's almost like a perfect molded plastic. So it is actually made of ultralight space grade aluminum alloy. The net weight on this one is 1.1 kilogram, which is a little bit over 2.4 pounds. By the way, the only thing that is made of plastic will be the cover of the USB hub over here. So that's the only thing that is made of plastic, and maybe those buttons over here as well, but I'm not sure about it. The joystick for sure is not made of plastic, it's all metal. On the AK2000 touchscreen main page you will find all the standard modes: pen mode, pen tilt mode, all follow mode, and lock mode. So you don't need to remember what mode you are or how many clicks is a specific mode, like I had to do with the Moza Air Cross, and I always got confused with that. On the display you will also find a battery indicator, a follow focus wheel mode indicator, which I will get to it in a moment, Bluetooth pairing indicator, and camera pairing indicator. When you pair the camera to the gimbal, you get some limited controls of the camera, like aperture compensation, ISO, and white balance. Now in the white balance page, you cannot change the Kelvin value. You can select it, but there's no way you can change it through the gimbal. You're gonna have to do it in the camera. In the second page, which is the left swipe to the home page, there are 4 additional modes. The inception mode, which turns the camera 360. You can do one 360 turn to the right and to the left, and constant 360 to the right and to the left. Underneath the inception mode, there is the motion time-lapse. Then we have the portrait mode. To use it, you will have to hold the gimbal vertically. The last 3 modes are the selfie, zoom focus, and the secondary access control, which can be accessed through the gimbal buttons as well. Now another swipe will get you to the third page. In this page are pretty much all the customs and micro settings. Now to get off the menu, click on the power button. To lock the access to the menu, one short click on the power button. But you need to be on the main page, and that's pretty much it. That covers the entire menu. Very simple and straightforward. Moving forward, underneath of the display, there is the joystick that controls all the axes, and also you can use the joystick to navigate through the menu. Also, there is a line indicator that shows the directions you move the joystick on the touchscreen display. Now, regardless of what mode you are, the joysticks is not limited to any axis movement. The only times it is limited is in the inception mode. Now I have something for a wish list. It would be nice if there was a way to disable one of the axes at a time. For example, there are times that all you want is to tilt up, but if you move your finger a little bit to the left, then you tilt and pan. So it would be nice to kind of isolate each axis by itself with the joystick. Then we have 3 buttons underneath the joystick. Video camera toggle button, which works with only specific cameras. They do provide a list of compatible cameras. A trigger record button and the lock mode button to lock all axes. Now on the right side of the gimbal is the on off button. It is also a standby button. Long press will turn it on and off. Double click for standby mode. On the back of the gimbal you will find the trigger. 2 clicks will reset the gimbal, 3 clicks for selfie mode. Now there are some options on the app to custom the trigger when press and hold. Fast follow, which I found to be very convenient. Lock mode and pan and tilt follow. On the left of the gimbal there is the multi-function knob. It can do both focusing, zooming, and control the axis direction. A long press on the knob change the function it can do. If you are in the focus zoom mode, to toggle between the zoom and the focus, a short press. The same thing if you are in the axis direction function, to toggle between the modes, short press. Now on some cameras you can control the digital zoom when you pair it with the provided cable. It is doable with the Sony A7iii. The latency is pretty good when you make small movements, but you will feel the delay when you make fast panning or tilting. The motor's gimbals are pretty strong. Just to give you an indication, I had the Sony 2405 f4 lens, which is not a light lens, on the gimbal. If you look at the app motor strength with this setup, you will see that the strength of the motors are not maxed out at all. The only way to get this gimbal maxed to the limit with the 2405 will be to extend it all the way to 105, which means the barrel is all the way out, and that's the only time you'll see the motors are actually fully maxed. As well, the motor strength adapt well to different lenses. If you check in the app, you will notice that the parameter is changing between one lens to another. It's never the same. So I put this gimbal to the test with different lenses with steady shots on and off, and I got some great results. Now the grip on this tripod stand feels great in the hand. I much rather have this kind of a grip instead of this cherry wood type of a look. It feels a little bit slippery in the hand at first, but when you hold it with two hands, then it's not a problem. It's not that big of a deal, but if your previous gimbal, like the Moza Aircross, has that kind of a grip, it will feel weird at the beginning, but after a while you get used to it. It's not gonna fall out of your hand, it's not gonna slip out of your hand, it just feels a little bit weird at the beginning. At the bottom of the handle there are two threads mount. One is for the tripod, and on the other one you can connect it a monopod, which could be very helpful when shooting events or even to emulate a crane. I do appreciate two threads mount size rather than one. The balance setup is pretty much a standard gimbal setup. If you are not sure how to do that, then there is an excellent video in the app that shows you how to do that with some other videos, but let me give you some tips. Maybe it will help you during the initial setup. First, make sure you are tightening real good all the arm lock screws. First time I tried to balance this camera, not this one, the Sony A7iii with the 24/5, I couldn't balance that for the life of me. And then I found out that I thought that this lock is locked all the way in. It felt that way, but it was not locked. And doesn't matter what I did, I could not balance it to the right or left. It will be either dropping to the left or right. So make sure that all those locks are locked. Next tip, don't pair your camera before you check for updates. Now to check for updates, you will have to do it through the app. If the cloud with the arrow is green, then there is an update or updates to do. Just click on the cloud to see what the updates are, what updates are available. If you're planning on using the gimbal with a big lens like the 2505 f4 G lens, you will need to remove the viewfinder eye cap to clear the camera from the arm cruise motor when you are in the inception mode, because it's gonna stuck over here. It's not gonna clear. Also, if you're using a long lens, you will need to use the lens support holder. Make sure to install the side that has the channel, not on the flat side. Otherwise, it will not fit to the quick release plate. Let's talk about the app. On the main page, you will find a full gimbal control, which includes lock mode, pan mode, follow mode, and all follow mode. A virtual joystick, which lets you pan, tilt, and roll, and a reset trigger. On the top of the page, you will find the firmware update cloud. Underneath is the gimbal setting. And underneath the setting, we have the camera pairing. Let's dig into the setting. Joystick setting is straightforward. You can adjust the tilting and panning speed. As well, you can reverse the panning and tilting control. Now, I have a minor comment on this one. I noticed that the lowest speed parameter does not reflect the lowest speed of the physical joystick, but not by much. Let me explain. The joystick is a potentiometer, so if you push the joystick upward lightly, for example, you will get the minimum lowest speed, and this minimum speed does not reflect the minimum speed in the app. Again, very minor. Next is the motor strength. I found the adaptation to do a great job. I did not see myself need to play with the parameters. Now, a good time to use the motor strength setting is whenever you change the zoom on the lens. For example, if you balance the gimbal with the lens position, let's say for 24mm, but later on change it to 70mm, that will be a good time or a good idea to adjust the motor strength. Next, there is an option to control how snappy you want the gimbal to be in the axis. The snappiest will be the motion, then normal, and last is the smooth. You also have the option to custom the parameters. Now, I found setting the following depth area to minimum and the follow speed to fast to give me the best result for tracking shot. So here's another wish to the wish list. I would love a tracking mode. It's so hard to track when you are close to a subject, especially small subjects. Next is the horizontal calibration. The menu guide says the function of the horizontal adjustment button is disabled for the AK2000s. Well, it is disabled on the gimbal menu, but it is not disabled on the app. I assume the calibration function on the AK2000s menu should take care of all of the axis calibration, and this is the reason they removed it from the gimbal menu. That would let me think that if the horizontal calibration is off, even after you calibrate all the axes from the gimbal is defective. Now, an excellent way to check if the gimbal is horizontal calibrated is to turn on the camera display levels. Now, on the app, you can calibrate the horizontal axis by increasing or decreasing of the angle value in increments of 1 degree, 0.1 degree, or 0.1 degree until you get it leveled. Next is the time-lapse. Here you can only control the time setting parameters. The rest done from the gimbal menu. Now, make sure you are not in the time speed page on the gimbal menu. Otherwise, any changes you do in the app will not reflect on the gimbal menu itself. As well, make sure you save the changes in the app. Then on the gimbal menu, choose the route setting position, the camera to start position, next to the end position, and you are done. On the camera, make sure you are in the camera mode and not video mode. Next is the trigger key setting, which I already covered. The entire idea of changing the mode by press and hold the trigger is very convenient. If you feel overwhelmed by all the changes you made, then that's what you need to select to reset the gimbal parameters. Moving forward to the camera pairing. First off, you need to enable pairing on your camera. Every camera is different. Unfortunately, I can only show the steps on the A7iii and the A6500. Now on the A6500, you will need to go to the app menu in the camera menu, click on the application list, then click the smart remote embedded app. Now if you don't have this app, you will need to download it. There are many tutorials on how to do it. Then you should see a white page that shows your camera ID. Next, click the garbage can button on the camera to reveal the password. You will need this password for the app. The A7iii on the menu, go to the network menu first page and select control with smartphone and select connection. To get the password, click on the garbage can button on the camera. Now we can pair it with the app. Click on the camera tab, choose Sony or whatever camera you have, find your camera, select your camera Wi-Fi ID, enter the password, and you are done. Now you can control the record trigger, white balance, ISO, and aperture compensation. If you want to disconnect the Wi-Fi connection of the camera, when the gimbal is on, slide touch screen to the left to find the setting, press and hold the trigger button, push up joystick, and click setting to disconnect Wi-Fi. Okay, let's talk about the gimbal battery. The gimbal has a built-in battery, so charging is via USB-C. I don't have a problem with that. One less charger to add to my collection is great. Now, as far as the battery runtime, I don't have hands-on input due to the COVID-19. I have not shot any event for the past 3 months, so my apologies. But I did leave it on with the Sony A6500 and I got about 4 hours before it died. I contacted FeiyuTech asking if this is normal. The response I got was the battery runtime is about 7 hours. It could be more or less depending on the weight of the camera, the temperature, and how shaky your hands is during the usage. To get longer runtime, you need to balance it very well. The more balanced, the longer runtime. Now I have to give credit to the tech support. I contacted FeiyuTech more than once for a question and I got the response in less than half of a day. And that's pretty much covers this review. In my opinion, the AK2000s is an excellent gimbal for not a lot of money. It can do so many things. Value-wise, I paid for the Mozart Aircruise $369 2 years ago. This one goes for $349. Not a lot of money for a lot of gimbal. But before you go, I'm really trying hard to grow this channel. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to this channel. Don't forget to click on the notification bell to be notified of a new video from me. I'm going to leave the affiliate link for this gimbal in the description. As well, if you have any questions, please leave a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching this video and I'll see you in the next one.